The broadcast reached every corner of the known galaxy at the same moment, a simultaneous pulse of signal so powerful it bent subspace itself. 742 species received it. 742 species went silent. The voice belonged to Overlord Caelrex. "This galaxy has a new order," the Overlord announced, his voice a layered harmonic that resonated at frequencies capable of inducing fear in the neurological systems of most sentient life. The Virati are its architects. Its gods. And those who do not kneel will be unmade. The Virati had earned that reputation across 11,000 years of conquest. They were not merely powerful, they were definitionally superior. Their biology regenerated faster than most species could process injury. Their neural clusters processed information at speeds that made organic thought look like stone carving. Their warships were not built, they were grown, living vessels of dark matter and crystallized antimatter that could fold space around them like cloth. They had erased 31 species from existence. Not defeated them. Not enslaved them. Erased them, scrubbed the genetic record, salted their worlds, collapsed their stars. Of the 742 species who received Caelrex's broadcast, 741 sent acknowledgement of submission within 72 hours. The one that didn't was humanity. Part 1, The Admiral. Admiral Darian Voss read the transmission 3 times before setting it down on the edge of his desk aboard the USCS Unyielding, humanity's largest carrier-class vessel. He was not a tall man. He was not a dramatic man. He had short gray hair, a scar across his jaw from a training accident at age 19, and a habit of drinking his coffee black and cold because he never had time to drink it hot. He looked less like the commander of humanity's entire deep space fleet and more like someone's tired uncle who fixed engines on weekends. He looked at the transmission again. Kneel or be unmade. He put the message down. He picked up his cold coffee. "Tactical," he said, "pull up everything we have on Virati fleet composition in Sector 9. His tactical officer, Lieutenant Commander Joe, pulled the data. She was young, 26, with sharp eyes and the particular expression of someone who had learned to hide fear behind calculation. She had that expression now. "Sir," she said carefully, "the Virati have approximately 400 warships in regional deployment. Our entire fleet is 93 vessels." "I know." Voss studied the star map. "Pull up the main die corridor." Joe hesitated. "Admiral, that's a collapsed transit lane. Nothing has survived passage through main die-in. 80 years. I know that too." He set down his coffee. "Get me Commander Hiwa on the Relentless, and patch in the science vessel Crus. Also, find me everything we have on Virati sensory biology. Specifically, what frequencies their neural clusters use to process spatial data." Joe stared at him. Then she did what good officers did. She moved. Part 2, The Nature of Supremacy. Overlord Caelrex received humanity's non-response with something that, in a Virati, functioned like amusement. He stood at the apex of his command spire, a living tower of biocrystalline material that pulsed with the ship's heartbeat, and examined the human species file with one of his 4 primary perception nodes. Humans. Biological curiosities. Short-lived, soft-bodied, embarrassingly limited in sensory range. They experienced only a thin slice of the electromagnetic spectrum. They communicated through atmospheric vibration. They required sleep, regular, recurring unconsciousness, to function. Their weapons used directed energy and chemically propelled projectiles, technologies so primitive the Virati had abandoned them before humanity had discovered fire. And yet, the file noted something that had given the Virati analysts pause. A footnote. A statistical curiosity. Humans have never, in recorded history, accepted a conditional surrender when they assessed an alternative to exist. Caelrex dismissed it. Every species believed itself special until the moment it wasn't. He gave the order. 400 warships began moving toward human-controlled space. Part 3, Main Die. What the Verati did not know, what no one outside of humanity's most classified strategic archives knew, was that Admiral Darian Voss had spent 11 years studying the Main Die corridor. It had been declared impassable after 6 ships were lost to its gravitational anomalies. What those incident reports failed to adequately capture was why the anomalies existed, and Voss had read the raw sensor data from those 6 ships with the kind of obsessive attention that only becomes useful once per career. The corridor's anomalies were not random. They were rhythmic. A collapsed transit lane didn't collapse uniformly, it folded, like a closing hand, at measurable intervals. The intervals were irregular enough to look random to casual observation. Voss had a researcher named New York Die who specialized in chaotic system pattern recognition, and New York Die had found the rhythm. 63 seconds. Then 11. Then 37. Then 4 minutes and 8 seconds. Repeating with fractal variation. The windows were tight. But they existed. 93 human ships entered Main Die from the far end of the corridor, from behind the Verati's entire regional fleet, while Caelrex's 400 warships were still accelerating toward humanity's frontier. They emerged in formation. Part 4, The Frequency. The second piece of Voss's strategy was cruder and more elegant at the same time. Verati neural clusters, the distributed network of thought nodes that made them so cognitively superior, operated on a specific electromagnetic resonance frequency to synchronize between nodes. Without that synchronization, a Verati's processing speed dropped from superhuman to barely functional. It wasn't a weakness their enemies had ever found because no one had known to look for it, and because finding it required a kind of oblique, patient research that most military minds wouldn't fund. Voss had funded it. 12 years ago. Long before Caelrex had ever broadcast his ultimatum. The frequency was 4.7 terahertz, pulsed at specific intervals, broadcast at sufficient amplitude. Every human ship in the 93-vessel fleet had been retrofitted with emitters. When the fleet emerged from Main Die and activated those emitters simultaneously, the effect across the Verati fleet was not pain, exactly. It was closer to suddenly becoming very, very slow. Like thinking through deep water. Like trying to solve mathematics while someone played the same note over and over inside your skull at volumes that precluded thought. 400 Verati warships stopped their coordinated maneuvers. Their living vessels, which required neural command input to fold space, drifted. 400 warships, adrift, facing 93 human vessels that were already in firing position. Part 5, The Conversation. Voss opened a channel to Caelrex directly. He thought the Overlord deserved that much. Caelrex's voice, when it came through, was noticeably slower than in the broadcast. Struggling against the interference. Still trying to project authority from inside a cognitive fog. "You cannot win this," Caelrex said. "We are supreme." "Yes." Voss leaned forward slightly. "I raid your file on us." The footnote at the end. Silence. "You thought it was a curiosity," Voss said. "We don't accept surrender when we assess an alternative. You thought that was stubbornness. Irrationality. A biological flaw. It is. It's a research program." Voss's voice was flat. Not triumphant. Not angry. Just factual, the way a man states the weather. Every war humanity has ever fought, we spent at least as much time studying the enemy as fighting them. We find the frequency. We find the corridor. We find the one thing that everyone else decided wasn't worth looking for because the answer seemed too obvious. A long pause. "You erased 31 species," Voss continued. "I read those files too. You know what every single one of them had in common? They responded to your ultimatum within 72 hours. They decided you were too powerful to fight before they finished asking what kind of powerful you were. And you think you have one, Caelrex said. I think, Voss said carefully, that your fleet is sitting still in my firing solution, and I'm about to offer you a choice that 31 species never got. He let that sit for a moment. Leave. Leave this sector, leave the border systems, pull back to Verati space. In exchange, humanity will not pursue. We will not retaliate for the ultimatum. We will not release the frequency data to the other 741 species you've been collecting tribute from. He paused. We'll just know. And you'll know we know. And every time you consider expanding again, you'll remember that somewhere out there is a species that spent 12 years quietly building the key to your front door. The silence on the other end lasted a long time. When Caelrex spoke again, the harmonic layers in his voice that induced fear were absent. What remained sounded almost, in a distant biological way, like something tired. You are a deeply unpleasant species, the Overlord said. We've been told, said Admiral Darian Voss, and drank his cold coffee. Epilogue. The Verati fleet withdrew. They did not announce it. They did not explain it to the 741 species watching with held breath. They simply left. Humanity said nothing publicly either. In the records of the Galactic Compact, filed under routine incident reports, there was a single entry for that period. Border dispute, resolved. No casualties. Human Fleet Command, Admiral D. E. Voss. The 31 species the Verati had erased could not read it. But somewhere in the quiet arithmetic of the universe, the ledger shifted. The Verati had been considered supreme. Until they met the species that didn't accept the premise.